Baruch Dayan Ha'emet, we praise the Judge of Truth. If you have a cell phone or they're there. You know, as you get to this age, you're like, are they in the pocket? Are they in my head? Are they in my pocket? Baruch Dayan Ha'emet, we praise the Judge of Truth. If you have a cell phone, you might want to turn it off or set it to stun, so somebody doesn't call you in the middle of the service. If you're my parents' age, you can't find the cell phone, you won't be able to do anything with it, but almost everybody looks like you could figure out the cell phone. Let us begin with Psalm 121 for Lila. Esai einai el ha'arim me'ayin yavo Ezri. Ezri me'im Adonai, aseh shamayim va'aretz. Al yitein lamot raglecha, al yanum shomrecha. Hine lo yanum v'lo yishan shomer Yisrael. Adonai shomrecha, Adonai tzedcha al yad yaminecha. Yomam hashemesh lo yakeka v'yarech balayla. Adonai yishmarcha mikol ra, yishmoret nafshecha. Adonai yishmar tzedcha v'wecha me'ata v'ad olam. I lift up mine eyes unto the mountains, from whence cometh my help? My help comes from the Lord, maker of heaven and earth. God will not let your foot give way. Your protector will not slumber. See, the protector of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. God is your guardian. He is your protection at your right hand. The sun will not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. God will guard you from all harm. He will guard your soul, your going and your coming, now and forever. And together let us recite in the English the 23rd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. We call forward to eulogize our dear Lila, her daughter Marcy, and son Jeff. You can come together, you can do one at a time, however you wish.
Thank you, Rabbi. Thank you, everyone, for coming. About 6 or 7 years ago, my father sent to each of us a thick, almost a binder of something about dementia. And he said, this is what your mother has, and I'd like you to read it over because we're going to work together to help her get through it. And, it talked about what to do when a loved one has dementia, treatment, and how to be with them when it starts to occur, and not to argue, and to how to appease them, and, all the different things, and possible treatments. And we learned from that binder what best to do. And my dad took care of my mom when she got worse over the years, when she couldn't remember things, when she kind of got angry and wanted to come home. He would not argue with her or say you're wrong or say you're confused. He'd just appease her as best and comfort her as best he could, saying, we'll go home, let's go home tomorrow, we're almost packed, or whatever it takes to appease someone with that type of affliction. And certainly when my mom got worse and worse, my dad was always with her 24/7. And I just, from the bottom of my heart, I have gratitude for my father for taking care of my mother like that. Could not have done anything else at all. Took her to the water therapy. We also, my cousin Debbie found out about a research for dementia. We enrolled my mom in that, in a double-blind placebo study. And like I just said, I couldn't ask anything more of anybody in taking care of a loved one. It was phenomenal. I also want to thank my brother Rick and Marcy. When my mother started getting worse, they would come in, each would come in for a full week and just spend tremendous amounts of time with my mother. Marcy was showing me pictures that she took of them. She put a mask on my mother so that it was just a diversion, something to do, because there just wasn't that much to do but watch TV, The Golden Girls, Barney Fife, and King of Queens, and I'm sure they both, Rick and Mars, know every episode by heart. Rick would be with her, and Rick had a way with my mom where he would maybe agitate or get a little rile up with her, but also make her smile and make her laugh. And it just brought out my old Lila and how she used to be. Certainly want to thank our caregivers and Barbara from the village for coming in and bringing food from her garden, or small farm, I should call it. And last but not least, Lucky. Lucky is this fantastic dog that would stay by my mom, by her feet, by her side, comfort her. Whenever, she looked like she needed comforting or something, he was there. And when my father would start to move Lucky into the wheelchair, my mom into the wheelchair, all of a sudden Lucky would get protective. He didn't know what was going on. And it was certainly a blessing that they had that dog. A couple of things that come to mind about my mother. My wife, Ludmila, said about my mother that whenever she thinks of my mother, she always thinks of her as elegant. Always dressed nicely, always, presented in appropriately, not too much jewelry or, makeup or garish or whatever you would say, just elegant. And I would say fashionable. Unfortunately, her fashion didn't always relate to the clothes that she bought my brother and I. And that reminds me of a story when I was just turning 13. It was bar mitzvah time. And my mother took Rick and myself to Mr. Junior's, of course, a place on Cedar Center. And something caught my mother's eye. And I think the fashion was good for maybe 1 week. And there my mom bought something for us that after I wore it, I said to myself, I'm going to be in charge of my own clothes. Because what I wore and what Rick wore was a bright orange and bright lime green Nehru jacket. And if any of you remember, that was in fashion maybe one day. And that's when my mom bought it. Just to give you an idea of my mom's spirit, Lila, she carried herself. You didn't think that she was almost 5 feet. She carried herself with an authority, and many times, people sensed it and just, listened to her and complied with her. So Rick moved to New York, and he took me to a place where he buys clothes, and I bought 2 suits, and they sent them to me in Cleveland, and I just didn't like the way they fit. So I called them up, and they said, they're yours. I sent them back to Rick. Rick tried to return them. They wouldn't return them. My father and mother were in New York visiting, and my mother said, give them to me. So Lila goes to see Mo Ginsburg's suit outlet in the garment district, and she walks in there and she walks out with the credit, because they knew they were dealing with Lila from Cleveland, and Mo Ginsburg of New York in the garment district didn't have a chance. Just when I was putting together this speech, thinking about my mom and what life lessons I learned, there were really 2 major lessons that came to mind. And somebody I was talking to just mentioned them to me. One is incredibly organized. 2 households, everything is always in its place, immaculate and clean. And she was just very, very organized. So I've tried to stay organized, though not quite that organized. And what always struck me about my mom is that she'd wake up, she'd have a list of things to do, and she would attack the list, wouldn't put things off, would take care of whatever she had to take care of, so that when she was done, she could enjoy the rest of the day and be that, play cards with her friends or watch a movie with us or whatever it may be. She took care of things and did not put them off, and it was a life lesson. So, Mom, I miss you. I love you. I'll always love you. I'll always miss you, and may you rest in peace.
Hello. All right. Lila Shane Sorkin. I said it, Mom, Shane. She never liked her middle name. I thought it was cool. Sorry. All right. So anyway, Lila, Jeff covered a lot of points, and I think Lila was the epitome of humble. She always, she liked to stay in the background, and she would nurture everybody else to shine their brightest light as they could. But she, nothing on her. Even her birthday, she would say, don't buy me a gift, don't spend money on me, just think of me. So, of course, making a card or writing a poem, or you could purchase a card for a couple bucks she was okay with. But you take the time and pick the right one that made sense for her. That's what was important, to think of that person. And, that was my mother in a nutshell. Jeff covered that even though she was small in stature, she was a force. We all know that. My dear friend said the other day, it was her voice. You were probably used to it, but you don't understand. Her voice, got you to attention or something. But in a good way. She wasn't, harsh person. She carried herself with a stature, like Jeff said. Again, Jeff said how organized she was. Oh, my goodness. Could not agree more. Organized, clean, and financially responsible, my mother. We're kids. She would have a little envelope for every credit card, right? So here's the MasterCard envelope. Here's Visa. Here's JCPenney. And here's Higbee's, my favorite Higbee's. I miss it. So she would purchase something, the receipt would go in the appropriate envelope, and then at the end of the month, the statement, and she would check, because, every penny count, and people make mistakes, and that happens. So I laugh because I think about now how everything's electronically, everything's so much easier and quicker. She'd have so much time in her hands. What would she do? So, but no doubt, in my opinion, her greatest joy were her grandchildren. She would spend hours playing games with them, or building Lincoln log structures, or coloring, or, Monopoly, Candyland, whatever. And how about the card games? It builds math. You don't even know. The kids don't know they're learning stuff. They just laughed and had so much fun. And most of the time, Lila was on the floor, because you got to get in there with the kids. And the proof that my mother loved these kids more than anything else is the fact that in Florida, she would go in the swimming pool and splash around with them and risk getting her hair wet. And that said it all for Lila. So Lila and I are very different. We're different people. So I don't know how it happened, but she did not get the shopping gene. It just missed her. So I got it for both of us. So that's fine. I know my mom's not a shopper. But I'm going to get married, so she flies to New York for to buy a wedding dress. And guess what? We go to Kleinfeld's. But It wasn't, there was no TV show. For the people who don't know, there's a famous TV show now, Say Yes to the Dress. It films in Kleinfeld's, this beautiful place. But it was so long ago, it was in Brooklyn. There was no TV show, and Kleinfeld's was in Brooklyn. So, I'm not kidding. So I put Lila and I on the subway, and we go to Brooklyn. And it's hours. You know, you're trying on a million dresses. We're having a blast. We find the dress. It's the best day ever. And we finally leave, and my mom goes, Marcy, can we get something to eat? Because, like, shopping feeds me, but not my mom. So, of course, Mom, we'll get you something to eat. To this day, I don't know what I was thinking. Instead of going to a restaurant and sitting down and having a proper meal, I walk her to the corner bodega, which is like a little market all over. We get her a tuna fish sandwich and like a Pepsi, and proceed to walk to the subway. And I remember this vividly. I took the brown paper bag that the sandwich was in, and I went like this to smooth it out for her, like placemat on the seat next to her to eat her sandwich on the subway as we went back to the city. Oh my God, I'm so sorry, Mom. We laughed about it later in life. Like, what? Have no idea what I was thinking. But the point is, she never complained. She was starving and she was exhausted, did not complain, because Lila wouldn't complain. This was my day. I could have run her another 50 hours and she would have loved it. So, amazing woman, learned a million life lessons from her. And so, I guess I'm not supposed to thank you guys for coming, because that's what I would have said now. Because here's the thing. I'm appreciative that everyone's going to celebrate my mother. She was an amazing woman, as I said, and she didn't like to be brag, but she was amazing. So we love you, and you deserve everything. And you're back with your mom and dad now and all your dear friends. And yeah, rest in peace, Mom. I love you so much. Okay. Thanks, Rabbi.
And is Barbara Jason here? Please come forward and speak of your friend.
Good afternoon, Lila. I would like to extend my condolences not only to the Sorkin family, but to everyone who knew Lila, as Lila will be sorely missed and never forgotten. My name is Barbara Jason. I have the privilege of being the property manager for the Village Community Association and having the honor to know Lila and Jerry for over 20 years. At the beginning of our lives, I believe that God gives us a present to our families and all acquaintances. As we continue our lives, we have a choice to remain a present to others, or we may aspire to become a gift during our lifetime. If we think of a present in general, a present is given to others at various times of the year. A present in our lives may be acquaintances who come and go. A present is given temporarily and may be forgotten over time. It's a temporary thing. A present given may have limited happiness. What about a gift? A gift is given not out of necessity or obligation, but out of love and seeks nothing in return ever. A gift sees each individual that impacts their lives in a very special way and remains in their lives. A gift is kept as a cherished memory. A gift is a talent. We meet many people in our lives and say, aren't they talented? A gift is eternal. Lila was and still is a gift to all of us. She was a loving, devoted wife, mother, grandmother, and totally devoted to her entire family. She loved life. She saw each person as an individual. She enjoyed her experiences throughout her lifetime and kept them as cherished memories. She was a loving, discerning person who moved quietly through life. Thank you, Lila, for being first a present, but then aspiring as a gift. Thank you, Lila, for being in our lives and now eternally in our hearts. God bless you, dearest Lila, for being an inspiration for all of us. Thank you.
And to all of those words spoken as a prayer, let us say Amen. We gather this afternoon to fulfill a solemn obligation. We pay our respects to the memory of your dearly departed, Lila Sorkin. Liebe Schendel is her Yiddish name. And this is an assembly of friends and loved ones. It's a support and a comfort to the sorrowing family. She was tough and she was fair. She was organized. She took care of whatever needed to be taken care of, even if it meant going all the way to New York City. She had a good sense of humor. And as we prepare for the High Holy Days, Rosh Hashanah is just a few weeks away. I could use her organizational skills to write the sermons which need to be written. But there's a great teaching in the Talmud in a tractate called Yoma, which has to do with Yom Kippur, the day. And the teaching in this tractate tells us that on Yom Kippur, the high priest would go into the Holy of Holies in the temple when the temple stood in Jerusalem, and he would offer prayers on behalf of himself that he would be worthy to represent the congregation, who would be cleansed of his transgressions. Then he would offer prayers that his family would be cleansed of their transgressions. Then he offered prayers that the whole Jewish community would be cleansed of their transgressions. And the assembled community waited for the high priest to come back out. And then the Talmud tells us that he would take a scroll and he would read a brief section from the Torah. And then at the end of this brief section from the Torah, he would say, "Far more than I have read to you is written therein." And so it is today for each of us. For each of us. Far more than we can hear about our dear Lila is the life of this good, decent woman. We have many, many memories of her. Some of them are expressed in spoken word. Others are thoughts and prayers. There will be laughter. There will be tears. She was born August 5th, 1935 in Cleveland. Her parents of blessed memory, Milton and Marge Zoller. Her older sister, is it Rona or Rana? Rona. Her older sister, Rona, is here, and we offer our condolences to her. And the second child, Lila, of blessed memory. Jerry recalled, we both went to Cleveland Heights High School, and that's where we met. A couple of years later, on June 27th, 1954, Rabbi Engelberg married us at Obsedic. It's right across the street. And they just celebrated their 67th wedding anniversary. They're blessed with family. She's an aunt, to Debbie and Karen and Lisa. She's also a great aunt. She's an aunt to Ron and Barb. There may be others, but if I missed your names, the family didn't give me your names, so it was on purpose. Anyway, there may be others. She was blessed with, she and Jerry are blessed with 3 children and 4 grandchildren. Jeff and his wife Ludmila, Rick, Marcy, and the grandchildren Jeremy, or Melech Natan, Kate, Casey, and Cal. Jerry said her life's dream: a car to use, a cleaning lady once a week, and her hair done once a week. And then when she had a job at Bobby Brooks, she only had to work 1 day a week. So something was once a week for her. She was a balabust. She took care of the house, chief discipliner. She had issues, don't we all? Why can't a basketball player make every free throw? At least they should make 95% of the free throws all the time. There's no wind. You're standing in the same place. You got the same ball. It's the same hoop. She didn't like it when professional basketball players missed their free throws. School was the most important thing for her with her children. Sports, it was important, but school, much more important. School was number one. She was a great babysitter. Lila and Jerry were great babysitters. They would get on the floor and play with the kids. No matter which kid, which grandkid it was, they would get on the floor and play with them. When Jeremy graduated, they said, we were in New York, and she was coming out of the Ritz Hotel, and she fell and broke her hip. And then she flew to Cleveland to come home, which shows a real tremendous strength. She was a very strong person. And the family said she would say she was 5 inches and 1/4. She wanted to be taller than 5 feet. 5 feet, 1/4. She wanted to be taller than 5 feet, although you say she probably wasn't even 5 feet. But no arguing with her. No reason to argue. Thanksgiving, she made a good turkey. She could make a chicken paprikash. Rick said she was a poll worker for elections. She thought that was important and volunteered to do that. And with the dementia, other than the dementia, which is a big other than, but other than the dementia, she had pretty good shape. And then something switched off for her, and she stopped eating. She decided to stop eating. And just this past Sunday, the 15th, she breathed her last. And her husband and workers and family members took good care of her. And now her soul is at peace. There's just rest and wholeness and peace. There's no more deterioration. There's no pain. Just rest and wholeness and peace. Just like Shabbat is a day of rest, this is a time of rest for Lila. Her soul is returning to God and to be with the ancestors of our people. We learn this in Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 7. The dust returns to the earth as it was. The spirit returns to God who gave it. One day, all of our souls will be together with our loved ones in Olam Haba. Olam Haba is the world to come, and it is an eternal time, not an eternal place. This is a place, and when we go to Zion Cemetery, that is a place, but her soul resides in time. That's what Judaism teaches, not place. Olam Haba is in eternal time, and you will be together again with her. The family is allowing us to send along a couple of old, well-prayed from Sidurim, well-prayed from prayer books, with her in the casket, because it's a mitzvah, not only to escort the body of our loved one to its final resting place, but also to provide respectful burial for holy books of our tradition. We give thanks to God for this gift of life. Pretty long life, 86. It's pretty good. I once had a member of the congregation say, Rabbi, 86 is good until you're 85, But it's true when you start looking at these numbers, 86 is a lot better than 68 or 48. It's still a sadness. However, we don't feel a sense of tragedy at 86, but we do have a feeling of profound sadness. And as you think of her, be kinder and more thoughtful of others. Help others out. Only through the deeds which we perform can the world be compensated for the loss of this good and decent woman. We conclude with words from the first chapter of the book of Job. Adonai natan v'Adonai lakach, yehi shem Adonai mevarach. The Lord hath given, the Lord hath taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. And let us say, Amen. Ose shalom bimromav, hu ya'ase shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, imru, amen. Ya'ase shalom, Ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, Ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. May God, who causes peace to reign in the high heavens, cause peace to rain down upon us, upon all Israel, and upon the soul of our dearly departed Lila Sorkin. Amen. Please rise for El Malei Rachamim. Into your care, O God, we entrust the spirit of our dear Lila Sorkin. For you keep faith with your children in death as in life. Sustain us that we may meet with serenity the mysteries that lie ahead, knowing that when we walk through the valley of the shadow of death, you, O God, are with us, a loving friend in whom we put our trust. You are the light of our life, our hope in eternity. El Malei Rachamim, Shochen Bamromim, Hametzeh menucha nechona, tachat kanfei hashchina, im kedoshim u'tohorim, kezohar harakia mazhirim, et nishmat liba shendo, shalacha l'olama, ba'al harachamim, Yastireha b'seter knafav le'olamim. Vayitzror b'tzor ha'chaim et nishmata. Adonai hu nachalata b'tanuach b'shalom al mishkava. B'nomar Amen. Compassionate God, eternal Spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence to our dear Lila Sorkin. She has entered eternity. O God of mercy, let her find refuge in the shadow of your wings, and let her soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. God is her inheritance. May she rest in peace, and let us say, Amen. In a moment, we will go in procession to Zion Memorial Park Cemetery, at which point we'll recite Kaddish, and then we'll recite Kaddish back at the house, the residence where we're going. And we'll say Kaddish for Lila for a whole month, every Friday night, every other service we do for the next month. Whether any family members can be there or not, it'll be our privilege to recite Kaddish for her. We're meeting in person, and we're spreading out and bunch of people wear a mask, but we're meeting in person. So our services are Friday night at Temple Israel Ner Tamid. I know she'll be on Kaddish lists at other congregations as well. And family has asked that if you wish to make any memorial contributions, they're going someplace, aren't they? Do you remember? Yes. So if you wish to make a donation in her loving memory, UH Elder Care and Temple Israel Ner Tamid. But if you can choose another one as well, if you wish, of your choice in her loving memory, the family will appreciate it as well. This concludes our service here, and we will go in procession to the cemetery. At this point, I'll need you on each side of the casket. We have the ladies in the center, please, and the gentlemen on each corner.
I need one more on this side.
Hey, why don't you go around?
Yeah, one of the guys come over this side. Anybody.
All right, gentlemen, pallbearers, you're going to face me. You're going to raise the casket together, please, and walk forward. We're going to turn towards the hearse. Cemetery, where the Zion Memorial Cemetery. Please return your carriage to the emergency flag.
Get out of my way. We need the flowers to go this lady's car right there. Okay. All right. Donna, he's going to put down flowers in the car. Les? it's still closed by Warrensville. So yeah, I got it. You got it. Yeah. All right.
Oh, it doesn't look like my son and his girlfriend are. They're not. They said they took it. Her mother's more upset than.
Well, we only have 2 grandsons, so.
It's just different. Their generation's so much different. And Joy